Hello everybody, Andy here, and today we have a Kill Team FAQ/Errata update. That is not a balanced data slate, just to clarify. So, very quickly, what is an FAQ/Errata if it's not a balanced data slate? This is updating the core rules that are written down in the book for us, so that we have the rules as they are intended, becoming how they are written. So hopefully this is clearing up mistakes, errors, whether intentionally written that way and then we decided we want to change that, or kind of typos basically. However, kind of one of the big things here is that it is not a balanced data set. It is not supposed to change the balance of the game. This is just meant to make the rules as written also the rules as intended. Now there are 14 teams with updates, including some core rules and even compendium updates. So this, you would think, is huge, but it's not quite that simple. Anyway, I'm going to go over all of these. I'm not going to go over, I'm going to go over the big things. If you want to see an actual point-by-point breakdown, there are going to be other channels that do that for you, of course. I just want to hit the high notes, but of course also this is the first FAQ Errata since we've had Nightmare release. So we've had Mandrakes and what are they called? Night Lords, that's the one. Get their first round of FAQs, which is of course very good because if you're in the scene, you know that there was a little bit of an interpretation question mark behind how you should play in Midnight Clad. That has been answered, so that's really cool. We get that, but screw that. That affects one team. Let's talk climbing equipment and rerolls. So, first things first, there are 14 teams with updates, including the compendium. Not really, because Scouts, Wormblades, Compendium Space Marines, Commandos, Pathfinders, and Phobos only had a single change, and that was how their climbing equipment works. So climbing equipment used to be pretty simple in the way that it works. However, it had a particular line in it that stated very clearly that you basically, that because you don't have to be within 1 inch, I was going to say, fucking black, triangle, 1 inch, pick a lane, GW, Jesus. Because you don't have to be within triangle of the thing that you're going to climb, which is normally a stipulation for climbing, you could, hypothetically, climb 6 inches away from where you wanted to climb and then float across the battlefield to put yourself back down. That's how most people assumed climbing with climbing equipment worked. It basically gave you fly. So you're still, it's a whole thing. Anyway, they've changed that. Now you do have to be within 1 inch of what you're going to climb. So what climbing equipment does is allows you to not have to be within 1 inch of what you're going to climb, but you do have to be within 1 inch of it vertically. So you can no longer fly randomly across the battlefield. You have to still be on the kill zone. Cool. I suspect this might... Can I say it? Yeah. I think that's interesting. If you heard my recent thing about my last video where I was talking about kind of what's coming in the second edition, it kind of seems like similar to what they did with the Void Dancer troop, where they nerfed heavily their whole team of fly, and they've forced them to have to actually move. This could be a similar thing, and it's kind of bringing what climbing equipment is now to what it's going to be in the next edition of Kill Team. So they're kind of prepping things because they've obviously already identified that we're going to be city fighting, we're going to be flying all over the place, we're going to have jump pack troops, all that stuff, but they've changed how that works so that it works well in whatever may be coming. Cool. That's very nice. Sorry. Taking a quick step back, how do you find the balanced data slate? That's not what we have though. We have the FAQ Errata. So you go to Warhammer Community, you go across this top thing, you go to Downloads, you go to Kill Team, that takes you to here, you find all of the things. How do you know what's been updated? You see it has a little thing saying updated, 27th of the 3rd, that means we haven't had a balanced data slate. Scout Squad, updated, 14th of the 2nd, that's not us either, keep going. FAQs Errata, here you go, 31st of the 5th, the first 14 things, plus core rules and compendium have been updated. That's how you find it, very simple. Don't worry. soon we are going to jump along to kind of talk about a few things that have actually occurred. But first, I'm doing kind of the core rules stuff, the things that everyone's had tweaked before we get to that. Although before we carry on, I would like to say that if you're a subscriber to my channel, I'd like to give you a big double hello. What is a double hello? I don't know, it's just really wholesome, and we all need a bit of wholesomeness in our lives. Thank you very much for asking. Hey, you might be aware, tomorrow we have Kill Team Termination releasing, and I've done like I've done 4 videos, okay? We've got a deep dive for both factions, featuring Mountainside Tabletop, by the way, tune in for that. We've got a overall review. We've got, I don't know why I'm saying we, it's just me. I've slaved over this bad boy. Come and check it out. I've also got a battle report, and if you're a patron, I've got an unedited battle report, a man reads book, and an actual unboxing. Cool. Let's carry on. Rerolls. So, they've said something quite interesting under the frenzy. No, sorry, that's the next thing. Rerolls. Even with Relentless, you can reroll 1 at a time. This is a core rule change. Core rule Errata. So this has been known by the hardcores for quite a while, but they finally put it into the FAQ/Errata. I've never liked that it's been unofficially played this way, but now that it's just straight up in the core rule, that is how it is. Basically, if you have Relentless or any ability that allows you to reroll more than a single dice at any time, of course Relentless allows you to reroll 1 or any or all of your dice, you get to reroll 1 at a time. There you go. I personally had always played it as, if I have Relentless, I kind of have a window within which I can play the Relentless rule, and so that means I choose there, do I want to reroll 1 dice, do I want to reroll 4, etc. This is obviously much better, much stronger for Relentless. For example, if you're fishing for crits, you can reroll 1 at a time until you get that crit that you need, and then keep the rest back. So, cool. Confirmation is always good. It is what it is. Fine. Good to know. Cool. We then go on to the Fellgor. Again, I'm not picking out everything. For example, there was something in Hand of the Archon, and I just don't care about Hand of the Archon, so I'm not going to talk about them. It wasn't particularly exciting either. If it was a big update, I would talk about it. Likewise, there was one for Hearthkyn Circle. Now, I do like Hearthkyn Circle. I think they're a really cool team, but I don't care about the change they had. It was just Magnification Conduit works in melee, but we already knew that. Who cares? Cool. Fellgor Ravager. Now, I don't really play Fellgor, and you might read what's just been changed with this frenzy ability, and you might say, well, what's the difference? It kind of doesn't matter, because I just want to point it out regardless. So, because it actually might possibly relate to tomorrow's thing, Fellgor Frenzy, as in the 2 new teams that are coming out, this might be something you should keep in mind when you're going through those videos to understand what they do. So just so you know, that first bullet point, they do count as being incapacitated when it comes to scoring VP. Sorry, when it comes to scoring VP. This may have knock-on effects for tac ops we might see tomorrow in Termination. Who knows? I certainly don't. Anyway, we then have an interesting one from the Hearthkyn. Shit, I'm sorry, guys. I've got my slides mixed up. I don't know how this got in there. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Outrageous. So here we have the Hearthkyn. Now, you see the utility grenade. It now stays until the end of the turn, even if the operative dies. You might think, well, yeah, of course, it's something that you throw out. And intuitively, obviously, that's how a grenade would work. However, you know, the way the core rules of Kill Team are written, basically, abilities and special rules or abilities on a datasheet are only technically in play when a model is on the board. So the fact that the Hearthkyn utility grenade is an ability, technically, if you just read the core rules, that means that when the Grenader guy is removed, his abilities are also removed. So this thing, this ruling is just straight up saying ignore this core rule, which is fine. That's all good. It's good that they've clarified it the way they want. It is against the core rule, but that's fine. Like, I don't think that should be a hindrance to them. They should have these things in there as they actually want them to be. Yes, and in general, GW does tend to have the idea, that's Mandrakes, that's the wrong one. GW does tend to say that the specific rule overrides the core rule, which I think is generally a pretty good way to do it. Kill Team actually doesn't play that way, in general, which is why there are issues with that. But they want it to work for this one, great. We then get the Nemesis Claw, so of course we have in Midnight Clad, now it works behind light cover. You might ask, Andy, what the hell does that mean? Some other people had read Midnight Clad and decided that targeting priority worked differently than it probably did. There you go. So they thought that when you had Vantage Point, if you were actually receiving the benefit of light cover because it had a thing. There you go. Anyway, they've clarified here. Nope, doesn't work that way. Of course, if you're in my Patreon-only Discord, Ace had already confirmed that for us. So we've been playing it right all along. Not to worry. But yes, do note that this is... Allow me to explain line of sight for the Night Lords for you. So you want to draw, visibility. You want to take a shot. So first draw visibility, then you draw line of sight. At that point, you stop. You can't shoot them. Don't try. There you go. They are obscured. Cool. There you go. There might be more to it than that, but who cares? Sorry, we then also have Vox Scream. You can't block the final activation in a turning point. There you go. You don't need to know more than that. Cool. This was clearly something that they probably should never have to say, but they did. So that's cool, because somebody would have read the rule and said, well, actually. There you go. I hope I did the actually correctly there. We then get to the Mandrakes. Shadow's Reach, can't use it on close quarters. This is super obvious, as the Shadow's Reach attack op is control heavy terrain in the opponent's territory. So it's good that they've stated this, obviously, but anybody trying to play this on Into the Dark was a knob jockey. We then go to... Sorry. I don't know what came over me there. Anyway, we then get to Chooser of the Flesh. Now, this is just stating you cannot increase APL past 3, which is actually very interesting. So basically, Chooser of the Flesh, get a kill, you can give somebody +1 APL for the rest of the turn. The rest of the game, sorry. This is the first ability in Kill Team that has allowed us to give an operative +1 APL for an entire game. So it's obviously super interesting. Basically, you could assume that turn 1, you get a kill, you give someone, one of your Mandrakes, go from APL 2 to APL 3. Awesome. Turn 2, you get another kill. You take the same operative from APL 3 to APL 4. It makes sense, it tracks, because you've already changed the APL. But actually you haven't, because the APL is what is printed on their data card. So, yes, you've given them permanent +1 APL, but actually they're still technically APL 2, but they're APL 3. They're already +1. So you haven't changed their stat to APL 3, but they will always have APL 3 from then on. There you go. I obviously, because of how weird it was for me to explain that to you, and how you could have responded with, yeah, but why? This was very good to state, so that's good. Definitely a good thing to clarify. I totally understand how people would play it differently, and frankly, I would have assumed that you are actually changing the APL stat on the data card, but technically you're not. Yeah, there you go. We then get something else. Not that. What am I reading? Sorry, some of this is really boring, and I'm not going to read all of these to you, basically. So, Shadow Portal. It counts as once a turn Shadow Passage that you can do, which I'm actually surprised by. I would have thought they were separate, because the Shadow Portal has a lot of other things that say, hey, this isn't this. But apparently it is, so that's cool, I guess. Weird. We then get Shadow Passage is not a move. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out, even though it actually doesn't really affect most people, is that it's not a move. Your model is removed from the board and then set back up. Now, the only reason I'm pointing this out is because, from a rules design perspective, it probably means that actually, because we've had this come across several times in different rules that Kill Team has, I think that for the next edition of Kill Team, they need to define the word placed. So you should be able to just have the short form, a model can be placed, right? And that is, because saying the model is removed and then set back up is really lame. You should just say, oh, a model can be placed. And that's the same as teleported. And that way, whenever you move, you have to measure everything on the board. You have to always measure, can you go through walls? You have to measure, are you traversing stuff? You have to measure everything. However, if you were to say placed, you know that is essentially a teleport, right? So that's something they should consider. Of course, whatever the next edition is, it's too late. That's already been written, but placed would have been good. There you go. And then, again, Shadow Passage. This is being an awkward one for people. It's not blocked by Into the Dark walls. Good to clarify, because actually, it hadn't occurred to me, because I don't play Into the Dark anymore. Who can be bothered to set that board up? If all of the doors were closed, you know, like technically, there is no possible way for you to ever measure to the other side of the board. So you couldn't set up there. So that's actually a really interesting one for them to clarify. Yeah. I would have loved to have been at that table when they were arguing about it. It's like, no, your board is entirely your side. You can't measure to my side of the board. That would have been fun, in a sense. And then we actually get 3 rules clarifications, all for the Dirge Maw, which is the Screamy Lady, or man, I don't judge. And I think they're all really niche, and I'm not going to read them out because I think they're quite boring. So there you go. You can read them. I already explained to you how you can go and find this. There you go. Nice. Anyway, if you've stayed till the end of the video, I'd like to give you a big triple hello. Wow, thank you. That was so wholesome, but it was a wholesomeness from me to you. Thank you very much for watching till the end. It really helps a small channel like mine. Please do dive on in tomorrow for all 4 videos I've done. 7 if you're a patron, I think. And I'll see you soon. What do you think, guys? Are we actually going to get a final balanced data slate before, and like another round of FAQs, erratas, before we get to the next edition? Or do you think they're going to drop it off like this? All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Stay chilled. I'm going to go cry, probably.